ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Well, it's been about a week or so since I've gotten anything out because between being on vacation and installing my own central air unit, I've been pretty busy doing other things besides my little motors. But now we've got a backlog of little motors, so over the next few days, we'll get them all up and running. So let's have a look at the first one. Now I picked up this good-looking little Echo SRM 225 weed eater. I picked it up for free. A gentleman came over to get bushes that I was giving away, and he says, if you want while you're here, go ahead and take this. I don't want it, and it doesn't start. So, no matter what we do, we can't lose on this one. Let's have a look at it and see what we've got. First thing we're going to do is, let's see, she got gas. She's got a little bit of gas in her. So we're going to drain that out and put fresh fuel in it. And the fuel doesn't look that bad. If I've learned anything along the way, don't trust the gas that's in these. So I'll pull the air cleaner off. I'm going to go ahead and pull the gas out. Now it seems to be tradition that these little choke levers be broken. But I think I see the problem on this one already. If you look closely here, this choke lever is not closing the hold of the carburetor because this is bent. And looking at the condition of this cover, it's a little scratched up. I'll bet this got bounced around, and then this got off center. And this might not need anything. Let's pull that apart and fix that. Let's pull that apart and fix that first. Okay, let's see what we got here. No, that's not the right answer. There we go. So the first thing we'll do is pull this off and see if it really is bent up. Whoop. And of course, these bolts hold the carburetor on too, so they're longer than necessary. You can see they don't want to come out until you get to the very end. And that one doesn't seem to be attached to much of anything. See, if you look at this, look at the bend in it. This thing got bashed. And the choke doesn't close completely now. Just because it got off center on the pin. So what we'll do is we'll pinch it back down nice and tight. It works correctly. Now I've got to do something with this. I'll be back in 1 second. I'm going to see if I've got one of these sitting around. Look at that. I've got, yep, I think it's the same air cover. Nope, it's close, but it's not quite the same. But in any case, it had this attached to it. So let's put her back together with this on it and see what happens. This could be the easiest fix of the week. You can see the new one versus the old one. Get in there. Thank you. Get in here. Let's get you lined up. There you go. I'm going to watch this one because this one seemed to come off awfully easy. Nope, she goes on good though. Now the choke operates correctly. Now a lot of weed eaters without a good choke on them just won't run. So it's entirely possible that was the whole problem for this one. Let's pull her out here and try to start her and see what happens. Okay. Now you put the starter fluid in, make sure the choke is off and the gas pedal is floored. That opens up everything into the carburetor, so it allows it to go straight in. And that tells us everything we need to know. That tells us the carburetor is clogged someplace. Now, if this were a 4-stroke motor, I'd go ahead and rebuild the carburetor right here. But for these little 2-strokes, I'll buy that carburetor for $12 or $13. It's not worth the time or the effort to go through and spend an hour and a half cleaning it all up. It's cheaper to just buy an aftermarket carburetor and be done with it. So we'll be back tomorrow morning with a new carburetor. Last night, the parts fairies came along and blessed us with a new carburetor. So let's get this back together. Or I should say, let's get it together. And this is a good time to take a look at the fuel lines and all that whatnot and make sure they're all in working order. Let's see, 10 millimeter. It's always a 10 millimeter on these things. And it should pop right out, and there she is. Turn it sideways and pull that off. These fuel lines look oddly usable. Now, before we pull the fuel lines off, we're going to loosen the gas cap, because if we don't, the pressure in the tank will have gas pouring back at us. And if we do, it's just that easy. This one's a little bit hard. I think I'll put a new one in for this. Let's see what we got here. How well do you fit? You're extremely tight. That's exactly what I like to see. Okay, yep. She's the right one, okay. I just need a little piece because it's a nice short run. All this is the fuel return. I'm trying to do it without using the tool if I can get away with it. No, it's a little tight. So let's grab a fuel line hook and run her through. I'm doing this with fuel in it, which I very rarely do. I'm going to dump this fuel out anyway before we test her, so I'm not worried about it. Oh, that should do it. Let's put a little bit of a taper on her. I'll tell you, I'm going to use the longer piece. We'll thread that bad boy on. Come on, buddy. There we go. That should do it. Pull it back through. Should pull nice and hard, and it is. It's acting really snug in there. We'll cut that a little longer than we need so that we have room to play over here. And again, that's just a fuel line return, so it doesn't have to be particularly long. So we'll measure that out to there and cut it there. Get her attached to the carburetor. And we'll take a look at the fuel filter and all that whatnot in just a second. I don't know why, but that feels backwards. It's probably my imagination. There we go. Tighten her back into place. And instant carburetor. Twist you around just a little bit. Let's test this. Okay, everything looks to be pretty ducky. So, gasket there, yes we do. Gasket here, yes we do. Let's put her together and see if she runs. Every now and again, it's just that easy. Let's choke her. We've already primed her. Let's choke her down. Not bad for a machine that hasn't run for a long time. Now let's go ahead and put a plug on her while we're at it. First, where's my magical air cleaner cover? Where'd I put that down? Found it. She was hiding way over there. She's got a new air filter. Let's see what the spark plug looks like. Ugh. Okay, the spark plug doesn't look perfect. It looks like it might have a little time on it. Can you believe that thing started? But this thing does appear as though it's been smacked around a little bit. So the spark plug probably got cracked. And it's not even in tight. Now this might be my favorite weed eater now. All that. And she started right up. This thing's got some attitude. I like that in a machine. Okay, let's take a look at the gap. People will tell you all sorts of horror stories about gaps on spark plugs, but that's all they are, is stories. I've been doing it with a flathead screwdriver for 30 years, and so far it's worked out pretty good for me. There we go. And I pushed this end off to the side. I wanted to get this plug in before we worked on it. I didn't want to take a chance on getting any of this hoo-ha inside the engine. You sit over there. Okay, now let's try to get this all removed. One little piece at a time. Now, this weed eater was given to me for free, so I'm not going to bitch about something like this. And there we have it. There's the rest of the spark plug. Now you've gotten to see the inner workings of the spark plug. That wasn't the plan, but we got to see it. Man, it runs a lot better now. Okay. Well, that went nice and quick. It's so much easier to replace the carburetor than it is to go through the work of rebuilding one of these. It's not even funny. This one, I think I spent $14 on that carburetor, and she's up. She's running like a champ. Now, the carburetor came with a new spark plug, and it's a good thing because it turned out we needed a new spark plug. You see things like that. When a weed eater gets banged around like this and the case looks a little scratched up, a lot of times the spark plug's been banged over and over and over again, and it was just brittle. It ran with that spark plug, so this might be my new favorite toy. I might have to keep this one for myself. I appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.